Let's go. Good evening and welcome to Success in the City. My name's Helen Webster and I'm with the lovely
Des Flanagan, standing in for the lovely Sandra Scott.
Yeah, so Sandra's down south this week on business.
Yeah.
So Des has kindly given his time tonight to be our co-host, which I'm dead excited about.
So I should have said hola or ciao or salute.
Yeah. Whatever you want to say. So our guest is Dave Mannix, who's coming on, but my fault. I've got his email address wrong, so we're just waiting for him. So he'll come on in a minute. And once he's here, he is. So I think we'll let him come in. So Dave, we are live. I'm going to let you in the studio, but we are live, and it's totally my fault. I've put my hand up to say that it's properly my bad. So we are live, so don't swear when you come in, okay?
Yeah.
Not that you would. Just Dave, just turn your phone that way if you can. It just makes you look like us.
Go.
It'll just flip in a minute.
I'm
bet you got your screen lock on, haven't you? Have you got your screen lock on?
Oh yeah, I'm going, sir.
There you go. Slick as ever, aren't we? Right. It's not you, Dave. It's us.
Oh my God, what am I doing here?
I don't know where you've gone now, love. So Phil Milot's listening in, and he says, hi, Helen and Des and Mano, because he's met everybody, hasn't he?
He is, yeah. I've spoken to Phil before, by the way. Yeah.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. So good evening, Phil. Again.
Yeah.
Right, I'm struggling.
That's all right.
I'm struggling.
Leave it that way.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's sound. Leave it that way. We can still see you. Thank you so much for giving your time today. Massive apologies. I typed Dave's, instead of putting Hotmail, I put Hotmail. And so I sent you a lovely email this morning saying this is what we do and this is what we're going to do and all that sort of stuff. And then you didn't get that, and then you didn't get the link. So totally my bad.
Yeah. Hot milk. Did you say hot milk?
Hot milk instead of Hotmail. I missed the A. So put like hot milk. Hot milk, yeah. Hot milk, yeah.
Oh, well. All right.
So we do have a little format to the show, Dave. So we're just going to have to pick it up as we go along, okay?
Of course, yeah. Was it meant to learn that this morning, was I?
I sent it to you, but it's my bad. It's my bad. We'll wing it. It's all right.
It was all explained in the email that you didn't get, Dave.
The email was like this. It's like a big, massive email. So the first thing we do is we shout out to the kids. So any little people who've done amazing things this week, okay? So I'm going to go first, just to give you a bit of time, Dave, to have a little think. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to shout out to all of the children in Fazackley Primary School. We visited the school yesterday and they were unbelievable. And we taught from nursery to year 6. Nursery were just the most well-behaved, fab little people. And then we did year 1, we did year 6, year 4 and year 5. And they were just boss. You know, we were teaching like 60 kids at once and they were amazing. So massive shout out to them. And thank you for being so welcoming in your school. What about you, Des? Any little people?
Yeah, well, he's not so little, but he's young. I'm going to give a shout out to Emmet Kane, who's our apprentice, and he's just won Apprentice of the Month with CPM. And I made up for him because he's come on leaps and bounds in the last 6 months, you know. And he wants to learn as well, which is half the battle, isn't it, you know? So well done, Emmet, if you're watching.
Yeah, well done.
See if we can win it again next month. Be great.
Yeah, massive. So Sandra's listening in and she says, thank you to Des for sitting in for me this week whilst I'm down south. And then she says, go Emmet. So Emmet's like 6'2". So even he's a young person, not a little person, is he?
He's not, but he's young. He's young enough. He just gets in the frame there for the young people, doesn't he? You know?
Yeah. So they're all smashing it. They're all doing an amazing job. But nice to be recognised. And TPM, so Brian Quinn, who's been our co-host a few times, he runs TPM, and it's just an amazing. They just support the students, don't they, as well? So massive shout out to TPM as well. So what about you, Dave? Am I calling you Dave? Am I calling you Mano?
Do you know what? I'll leave it up to you. Mano's fine.
Okay, because I'll keep reading Mano on the screen and then I'll be calling you Dave and everyone will wonder who it is.
Mano's like a football team, isn't it? So obviously, you know, keep it Mano if you want.
Okay, we'll call you Mano then. That's good.
Obviously,
just obviously off the cuff, really. It wouldn't really be for one specific young person, but obviously keeping it, obviously football for myself, would be all the players really who are sort of getting, living the dream and being released by their clubs. They might have been there for 5, 6, 7 years already. They might only be, 12, 13, 14, whatever it is. So, it becomes a time where, majority of these players get released, and it's a hard time for them. So, just sort of thinking about them really, and, how they can sort of use it on a positive note. And, sometimes you have to have setbacks to get to where you want to go to. So, yeah, just about them really.
Amazing. Big shout out to all of them as well. And I've been listening to the High Performance podcast, and there's a few ex-footballers and a few ex-sport people who were on it, and quite a lot of them are like, a bit like what you said, you learn from your setbacks and from so what you learn from that and moving forward. So I'm dead excited to hear your story, but we can't hear it yet. Okay, we're going to hear it in a bit. So a success this week personally for you can be absolutely anything. Sandra's is normally that she's had her hair done, or her nails done, or something like that, or she hasn't spilled food down the top or something like that, So these are the sort of successes that we celebrate. So what about you, Des?
Well, I've picked up a couple of contracts this week,
Nice.
which is great, and I'm nearly back to where I was, with the cleaning company, after losing everything in the first lockdown, So I made up they come through this week. So yeah, I'm onwards and upwards.
Nice. Good job. My success is we took Lou to for Zach Primary again, so I'm going to give it like sort of a double shout out. And it's hard, isn't it? When they don't know what it is, and then they've seen a video, and then Dan Flesher, who's the teacher there, who's an amazing guy, and he was a little bit nervous about us going in because he wasn't really. And quite a few of the other staff were like, well, what's it going to be? And had not sort of reservations, but they had like a little bit like, oh, what's going on? And he was like, no, it's okay. I've spoken to Helen. He said, they're going to be sound. And the feedback we've had is just amazing. So massive shout out to all the staff in for Zachley Primary as well. So Dave, success for you.
I was going to say, Mano, you haven't seen the loo yet, have you?
Seen what, mate?
The loo.
No.
It's LU. Check it out. And I'll talk to you to get on it. Sorry, Alan.
Yeah, so it's an interactive playground. It's not a toilet, okay? So lots of people think like, oh, loo, it's but it's not. I think we have to start calling it Lumiere, because loo is short for lumiere, which is French for light. So I think we might have to start calling it Lumiere. So yeah, what's success for you this week, Mano?
Probably two really. I've just got a new coaching job at Wigan Athletics, so sales. I've had all the details sent through today, which I have to respond and send them back. So that was a really good note for me. And also my house really. I've just sort of had me planning permission to go ahead with, doing my house up and an extension and so on. So yeah, this week, yeah, definitely.
They come in threes. Put your lottery tickets on for tomorrow. Yeah. And you were on Coast, so there's your third one. You were on Coast as well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See, you go on Coast, and then the world's your oyster. People come on Success in the City, and they just go like that. They just fly. Liverpool will be
get all kinds of coaching jobs and everything.
All sorts, yeah. Wherever you want to go in the world, they'll be ringing and saying, that fella who was on your show. So we played this or that. Okay. So I'll ask you and Des, and then Des will ask me and you. Okay. And we're just going to answer them. It's just to get a little bit to know you a little bit more before we then hand it over to you for about 30-ish minutes. And we're going to hear your story and where you are and what you've done and all the other stuff. And then Des and I will just chip in as we go along. Yeah. Okay. So the first thing we're going to play this or that. Des, do you want me to go first or do you want to go first?
Yeah, go on. You go first, Alan. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to ask Mano first.
Okay.
When you're watching the match,
in the deep
a pizza or a curry?
Or pizza.
Oh, yeah. What about you, Des?
Oh, it's got to be a pizza. Yeah. You don't have to think about eating a pizza.
I get curry up. So
you'll watch the screen and keep stuff in the thing,
Yeah. I was going to go pizza beer as well. Yeah, pizza. Yeah. Okay, go on, Des.
Right. What would you rather win? A Grand Prix as a Formula One driver or the Grand National as the winning jockey? Helen?
Oh, that's tough. I think the Grand National.
Okay.
It's an
Oh,
Aintree.
you, Mano.
Yeah, I think I'd go with Helen, yeah. Most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and I'd go for the Grand National as well. Yeah.
Would ya?
Yeah.
It's the biggest sporting event in the world, isn't it? The Grand National.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Most watched, isn't it? Most watched sporting
Yeah.
event in the world. So yeah, no, I think to ride the horse and like come in Aintree with the crowd going nuts, it'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
You can't hear nothing in the Formula One car, can you? Okay. What would you rather watch? A league game or a European game? Des.
I suppose it would depend on where you were in the season. You know.
Okay.
I would say league game.
Would
I
you?
would say league game. Yeah. Unless it's in the knockout stages of Europe. You know.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Mano?
To be honest, mine would be the European nights.
Yeah.
You know, some of them European nights, the atmosphere, and you just can't beat it. So mine would, again, I'd probably go with Des a little bit. It depends, you know, who you play and what stage you're in. Do you know what I mean? But, you know, overall, I'd go for the European nights, yeah.
Yeah, I'd go European night, 100%. I think the atmosphere of European night is just like bouncing, isn't it? You know, not that they're not on a league game, but there's just that extra little bit.
Yeah,
I think on the European
there is a
night.
difference. Yeah, there is a difference.
Yeah. Okay, there's your go.
Okay. Would you rather spend a month with an African tribe, you know, learning about all the culture and the cooking and that, or a month with Shaolin monks, learning all about mind control and discipline and all that kind of stuff? Mano, you can go first on that.
I'd go with this. I can't repeat what the second one was, but it sounded good, so I'd go with the second one.
The Shaolin monks.
Yeah. No, to be honest, you know, you always prefer, you know, go back to yourself and everything else, and I think, you know, that discipline and you know, it's massive. You know, it's massive in life now, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, it takes new in it. Yeah, that would probably be, most definitely, the monks one.
Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You, Ellen?
100%. So one of my dreams or one of my goals in life is to spend time with the Tibetan monks. And when you go up and you just sit there and I just think to go somewhere like that. I mean, an African tribe would be like cool as well, but I just think to spend the time with the monks, just to be in that mindfulness, and I think you just come out. I think you'd walk in and come out a different human.
Yeah.
Oh,
I picked the African tribes, to be honest with you.
Would you?
Yeah, because it's probably a little bit more laid back. and them albums just sit around smoking all night, don't they, and singing songs. That'll do me, you know. But no, I'd like to learn the culture and they like self-healing. You know, I'd like to learn all about the medicines and stuff like that. You know. Yeah, because none of them ever seem to be sick either.
No,
you know?
they're not. But they
And
live a
they're all
totally
in the
different
90s,
lifestyle.
you know.
Yeah.
So,
John Howie's listening in, and John Howie says, "Nice legs, Manu." So he likes your legs. There you go. Don't be self-conscious about it. Yeah. Okay.
Don't show them the scars, Manu.
Okay, my last one. Manu first. An abseil or a bungee jump?
Well, to be honest, I've done both of them. I used to do a bit of that when I was younger, so.
Have you?
Yeah. Abseiling, probably.
Would you?
Yeah.
Ooh. What about you, Des?
Well, I haven't done either, but if I had to pick one, it'd probably be abseiling. You've got a little bit more control, haven't you?
Yeah.
On the sense.
That's why I'd pick bungee jump, because I'm terrified of heights, and somebody could just give me a push, and I haven't got to like do it. I think I'd like the abseil where you go, like, you know, where you bounce your legs off, but then ones where they just come down the rope like
that. Yeah.
Frightens me a bit. That. Yeah. Go on, Des, your last one.
Okay. Last one, Helen. Would you rather be a best-selling author or have a starring role in a blockbuster movie?
I think I'd rather be an author. I think I'd rather be a best-selling author. Yeah, because I think that lasts forever to be able to say that your brain has created this. Whereas when you're an actor, you're playing the part that somebody else has created. So I think I'd like to be able to, create something magical, and then they can make a movie out of it and play the star lead in that.
What about you, Mano?
Obviously, I think the easiest one would be obviously being in the movies and that. But I think I'll probably go with the author actually, because I probably couldn't write a book. So if it went with that, I'd be proud of myself. So yeah, definitely the author. I think
I think I'd go with the author.
Yeah,
because you'd be dead famous and no one would still know you. So which is great.
But that's going to be you soon, though, Des, isn't it?
What's that?
That's going to be you soon.
Yeah.
So when you finish your book, you'll be a best-selling. And Mano, we'll be able to say that we knew him before he had nothing. Like, you know what I mean?
Most definitely. You'll probably ignore us then.
You know me, I'll still let on.
Via smoke signals from his beach. Right, okay, we're going to hand it over to you, Mano. We're going to learn about all your journey of what you do now and how you sort of got there and what's happened in your life and things like that. And talk about whatever you want to talk about, and then Des and I will just chip in. We've probably got about 35 minutes, and we'll just chip in as we go along. So start wherever you want to start. Or Des, do you want to introduce Mano a little bit more? Because you've spoken to him.
I mean, I've had Dave on my radio show the last 2 weeks now, and he had to come back again for the second one because there was too much to cram in, So, Dave, it might be better if you start right at the beginning, because you were at Liverpool, but Everton and Man United were interested as well, weren't they?
Yeah. So I joined Liverpool I went on trial at Liverpool at 12 years old I was. So I'd gone in there and I was sort of like at a very good standard. I was a confident kid. If something challenged me, I'd always come out the other side. You know what I mean? That's what I live for. And then I went on trial. I remember going on trial at Liverpool, and usually some kids who good players go in, straight away, or the first couple of weeks they're straight in there and showing how good they are. My trial went on for like 6-7 weeks, and to be honest, I couldn't get my head around how good he was at the time. So these players had gone in there, and I was like the sort of used to being the best player, if you like, and then these players were just running all rings around me, and I was getting frustrated, and my confidence wasn't there. So it went on, and then a good like 6 weeks had gone by, and I remember going back. My mum had took me to training, and I'd gone back home, and I was sort of arguing with my mum. If you like, she was saying, like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "They're just too fast," and you know what I mean. I couldn't get my head around not being the best. Yeah. So I remember like losing my head a little bit, and I sort of like punched the door, and there's a hole like in my mum's door now. Everything just was getting the better of me at the time. So then I sort of let that out, if you like, went back in, got a little bit better, and then when the manager said to me, he went, "You're going to be in the game on Sunday." It was my first match, so you'd had to get to a certain level on your trial before you got invited to play in the matches. So I was like, I was made up, do you know what I mean? Tell me mum, and he went, "We're playing against Everton on Sunday." So I was like, oh my God, couldn't take it, do you know what I mean? So I got this like buzz, and like, you know what I mean? And I remember getting told in the week, and I just couldn't really like get my head off this game on Sunday. So even though I still wasn't performing great, do you know what I mean? And I remember the manager said to me, when we went, "Listen, I want to put him in because I've seen something in training. And I know he's got 10 times more than what he's doing, but he'd seen something in me, do you know what I mean?" So Robbie Johnson, the coach, he's at Everton now. He's a coach at the Everton Academy. He said, so I went there on the Sunday, we had a match against Everton. I was sub to start with. So I remember him saying, like, you know, set the starting team, they've gone on. They were losing 3-1 at half time. And I remember in the first half, he's walking up and down the touchline, the manager, and I'm literally behind him, just following him. Because I knew in the back of my head, I knew, you know, when you just know. I was just waiting. I was like, in my head, I felt like shouting at him, going, get me on the pitch. I just knew. And I didn't feel like nervous or nothing. I just knew, like, as soon as you get me on that pitch, you know what I mean? So I'm following, and I remember him turning around and saying to me, like, I know you want to get on, just relax, you get on a half time. So I remember, like, a probably like young kid, I don't even think I laughed at his joke or nothing, you know what I mean? And then he went, half time come, we had a bit of a team talk, and we're losing 3-1. So, like, man, you're on, centre mid. So I got on there, and literally, like, all the games I've played over the years, probably the top game what I've ever played, you know what I mean? And I've played some good games, obviously. So I've gone on there, and literally everything within the half of a game just come together. And I've gone from this, like, nervous training and, you know, thinking about everything to, like, just literally roaring on everyone like I was the best player on the pitch. So then the balls come to me, been on probably 10 minutes, balls come to me, and I was always like a 2-footed player. So I was always comfortable with, you know, exactly the same with both feet, really. So the balls come, and, you know, you're talking like 25 yards or something. I've hit it in the top corner, right? So obviously all the lads are all over being made up, you know what I mean? And probably about, what was it? Another probably 10 minutes, I'd say. Balls come to me. Yeah, and I'm not just scoring goals, I'm running the show, do you know what I mean? Balls come to me other foot, 25 yards out the same, left foot, bang, top in. So, like, I felt like, you know, I was back, do you know what I mean? And, you know, it's 3-3. My mum said to me before the game, she went, listen, your first game, I'll give you 50 quid a goal. 50 quid.
Oh, fuming.
You know, I'm 36 now, you're talking 24 years ago. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, so my mum's shouting, like, buzzing and all that, obviously. So, you know, scored left foot top in, right foot top in, and I got 100 quid as well, do you know what I mean?
Nice.
So I've come off the pitch. Obviously, my uncle there, our John, Des knows our John and the family, don't you, Des?
Yeah.
So he's all there, and, you know, my mum and all that. So the man just come over saying, like, I knew you had it in you. So I've gone away. Obviously, we're playing Everton. Went into sorry, that was on the Sunday. So the Monday, I've had a phone call off Everton. The fellas phoned my mum and said, "Listen, have you signed at Liverpool yet?" And my mum said, "No, they haven't said nothing." So Everton said, "Listen, come down to Belfield." That's where he was at the time, their academy.
Yeah.
Have a look around. And in my head, I'm thinking, you know, I just wanted Liverpool. You know what I mean? I was obsessed Liverpool.
Yeah.
So Liverpool hadn't said nothing. So it got to, like, I think a couple of days later, I went down to Belfield. They showed me around and they said, "Listen, you were unbelievable on Sunday. We don't want to trial you. We want to offer you the contract now." So I was like, well, I need to, like, ask Liverpool and blah blah. So they've offered me this contract. So then went into Liverpool on, like, I think it was the Thursday training again, the Tuesday and the Thursday. And he said, "Listen, there's a game Sunday. You're playing against Man United." So I was like, okay. They hadn't said nothing about signing. So when I played against Man United, I can't remember the score. I think it might have even been 0-0 or 1-1 maybe, but I didn't score. But again, I was man of the match, right? And I played the full game. So anyway, went into training on the Tuesday, and Liverpool never said nothing. So, like, I'm thinking, oh my God, do you want to sign me or not? But then Man United phoned me and said, "Listen, have you signed?" My mum said, "No." Come down to the Cliff. So I went down to the Cliff in that week, and he went, "Listen, you know, we've seen you play. You were brilliant. Best player on the pitch. We want to offer you the contract." And I said, "Okay." Everton have offered me one. Liverpool haven't said nothing. And they said, "Listen, sign it now. We'll speak to Liverpool." And all the academy teams, including your age, is going to Dallas in America on Monday. You can go there. I'm only 12. You know what I mean? It's massive.
Wow.
So I'm sitting there, and there's a Wilf McGuinness, some, like, it was like an older man, and he was the dad of the academy manager, a bit of a legend at Man United. He just sort of come over to me and whispered in my ear, and he went, listen, he was like an Irish one. He went, listen, son, he went, if you sign here or you don't, I'll give you a little bit of advice. He went, you never know who's watching. And he just sort of like walked out the room. And I'll be dead honest with you, right? Even when I'm coaching today, I've only probably got 2 or 3 phrases what I use. What like, you know, because you have all your own knowledge, don't you? You do your own, like, but you only pick up 2 or 3 things, and I've constantly used them throughout. You forget where, you know what I mean? You're just using it every day. But when you get right back, that was one of them. And I always remember he just got up and he walked out the room. Some older man, I didn't even know who he was. Didn't know he was a legend and everything else. So we'll come away. You know, they've said about this. So I went into training at Liverpool, and Steve Highways walked past me and he went, you know, congratulations, made up, you know, you've been doing great, made up, you've signed. And we were walking in the changes, and my mum said, no, we haven't signed nothing. And he went, what do you mean? So literally within 10 seconds, he dragged me to the office. He's shouting at the coach saying, I told you to get him done. And he went, well, I didn't know when you wanted to do it. And within about 2 minutes, Man United, Dallas, Everton, all these things have gone out. You don't even care. And I went bang, signed it, and I never looked back. So
Wow.
what I mean?
So were you still in school then?
Yeah, I was in school. But we had this conversation, Des, didn't we? I didn't really. I'll go on. I had a little bit of a hard time in school. So I didn't really go to school much.
You just wanted to play footy.
So what happened from there, Helen, was I had a little bit of like a family troubles at the time.
Yeah.
And like my mum and dad splitting up, and it wasn't like just the normal one. It was sort of like he was there and they haven't seen him since, you know what I mean? So it was a hard time. You know, I was always fighting and I was in a lot of trouble, and, you know, and if it wasn't at Liverpool, I probably would have went down the wrong road.
Yeah.
But Liverpool took over my education. Got me in training with, you know, 13 onwards all the way through, and, you know, took over my education. So I was quite lucky in that sense, where it was Steve Highway really, because he knew what I was going through as a young kid. Getting sent off a lot. But I remember, funny enough, I remember Tim Devine as the education fellow. I went to see him at the academy probably only 18 months ago, and I had a couple of words with him, and he's the welfare officer, and he looks at everything, and he went, Mano, he went, I'll tell you now, he went, even since, like, he's been there for 20 years, he went, I haven't come across an individual like you. And I went, what do you mean? He went, you had all this sort of trouble going on, and your head was everywhere, and you were blah, blah, blah. He said, but as soon as you went over that white line, he said, you sort of like turned it all into like positive energy, if you get what I mean, and let it all out.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Laughing about it, he went, because we had some hard times, and, you know, at the time, you know, there must have been, you know, if I'm 13, 14, 15 even, you probably got like 200 or 300 kids in the academy, and I was the only kid in the whole academy who had like a counsellor. So we had to come in to the academy. And all the lads used to laugh, like, because obviously they weren't allowed to know what he was, so they come in, and this guy used to come in with the tie and all that, and they were like the best player. They were like, "Oh, is that your agent? Is it, man? Oh, yeah."
yeah.
Because it was obviously a private thing, so the Liverpool said, like, you know, keep it, whatever. But yeah, he used to come in. I can't remember. I think it might have been 1 or 2 days a week, and I'd have like an hour or two with him. And, you know, it helped me at the time. But I think me football, maybe that was why I was so good, because I had to have that football to let everything off. I mean, and,
yeah. It's like a release, isn't it? A release of all your emotions, and something that you and people like reinforcing that, you know, that positive reinforcement when you're doing something well makes you carry on, doesn't it? You know, so it doesn't matter what's happening on, because when I'm on the pitch, I'm really good. And there's lots of people, isn't there, who struggle. And I think now, you know, I was listening to Tyrone Mings today, and he had sort of, you know, similar issues when he was younger and stuff. And he has a counsellor and a sports therapist who he speaks to now before every single game. And he said, you know, and it was when he had his injury and stuff, and he said, you know, if he didn't have that person there to talk about and stuff like that, you know, so I think it's like dead important, especially with mental health and mindfulness and stuff like that at the moment, for guys, you know, especially like you know, who's been in a football and environment, to talk openly about it and say to all these young people, you know, it's Massive. But Phil Mylot's listening, he says a fabulous kid and attitude there from LFC. And going back all those years, that's, you know, it sort of wasn't as sort of high profile as it is now, is it? Like mental health and stuff like that.
No, but you know what? It also shows me the lengths a club will go to when they know they've got a good player on their hands. You know,
100%. Yeah, they don't want him to go anywhere. But isn't it funny how, like, you know, that little thing, you know, we didn't know when to sign him, and you could have like signed for Everton or United, but only that you were a massive Liverpool fan, you sort of went, oh, I'm gonna, I need to play for me dream, isn't it? You know.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And the massive clubs, aren't they? Like, you know, Man United at the time. You know, the Bosch facilities, and you know, like I said, going to Dallas, and you know, that was just like second nature for that club at the time. I think Liverpool were in a little bit of a transition period where we were training at Melwood. It was all like porter cabins and everything while the academy was getting built. I think it was like £50 million academy, whatever you paid for it. So it was in a little bit of a transition period, and Man United was this massive club where you go to Dallas a couple of times a year, or you know what I mean, and they were obviously for me to sign, but and obviously I'm never going to sign for Everton anyway. So, but yeah, but obviously as soon as you hear Liverpool want to sign, it's like, don't forget it wasn't plain sailing as well. By the way, like I said on the trial, I couldn't get my head around like how good he was. Do you understand what I mean? And very like I was quite an aggressive player as well, and you know, it was loads of like egos, you know what I mean? So they talk too much, you know what I mean? I tried it hard to settle in at the beginning, but obviously next minute, I remember that Everton game, and I remember not even thinking nothing. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you know, don't you? You just know. When you're thinking about everything, you know, you're not in a great place. When you just go, get me on the pitch.
You're in the flow, aren't you? You're just in the flow, and you're in the zone, and off you go, don't you?
No one's getting past you then, off.
Which is amazing.
From there onwards, it was when it was say it was a whirlwind. I wouldn't say it was a whirlwind like, you know, Des asked me a few questions the other day. You know, I'm 16 and I'm training with Steven Gerrard. I'm 15. You know, putting a suit on and going traveling the way to England. You know, and Rooney's, you know, and rooming with Wayne Rooney, and you know, all stuff like that. But you know, you don't really, you just take it in your stride. My aim was every game, every training, I thought I was the best. And that's what you have to have, that mentality. So if someone wanted to play football and get on the ball, and it was like a passing game, it was a technical game, I was the best passer. Do you know what I mean? That was my game. And if someone come up against a player who was good, and he started getting a little bit aggressive, that's where I'd come into my own as well. Do you know what I mean? So it was like, what way do you want to play? Do you know what I mean? He is a midfielder. So the only time I'd ever, and I mentioned that with Des on the radio a couple of days ago, that I'd come across a player who was better than me from my own age, if you like, in England, was when I went away with England, and it was Wayne Rooney. Yeah. So me and Wayne, when we were in our England team, we were like the in England, we were the year younger. Do you know what I mean? So we were, what it is in your school year, it's September to September, isn't it? Yeah. And when you play for your international teams and other countries, it's January to January. So we were like the older ones in our year. So we were like the only two who'd go and play for England, but they were all like the young ones from the year above. So even though we didn't play the year above in school years, we sort of did.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, you know, we were arguably the two best players, even though we were the two youngest. And I remember going in, and I was always the strongest, always like the most aggressive and the best on everything. And when I'd never actually played against Wayne, because we used to always like, I'd play 5 years above, he played 2, and then he played 5 years and I played 1. We'd never ever played against each other. So when we went away with England, he'd obviously heard loads about me, I'd heard loads about him, and you know, I remember the first training. You know, you go into training thinking you're the best every time. And I went for like a shoulder patch with him, right? And I went flying, and no one's ever done it to me, ever. And the whole training I was trying to get him back, and I couldn't. And it was the first time where I was like, I wasn't used to it. And I remember it. And he was like stronger than me, faster than me, better on the ball. He was just like a freak of nature, really. I'd never ever come across it. And, you know, you played against all the top players.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But he was like a freak of nature, really. So that was sort of when it all started happening at 15, 16. It was like, you know, I think I was 14 playing in the youth team, which was the under-18s. We got to the semi-final that year. I think we got beat by Blackburn. They went on to win it. So I was playing, obviously playing well above my age. I had like a big contract. I think I had my scholarship at that age, 14. Do you know what I mean? I was playing for England. You know, we were traveling the world with England. I played against the likes of Ronaldo and, you know, big players.
Who's the best person you've played against, or who's the sort of one that?
I think, yeah.
Who?
Ronaldo.
Ronaldo, yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
So
Dave,
yeah.
I was going to say, then you had a bad injury, didn't you?
Yeah, so that was a little bit after there. So at the time, obviously, you know, I'm playing for Liverpool. You know, I'm playing well above my age. I got to 15. I was 14 in the youth team until the under-18s, the youth cup. Got to the semi. Then I was 15, and I got put in the reserve team. And you know, the reserves back then was players who were not actually playing in the first team, so they were big. You know, so I went there and I got put in the squad, and I'll tell you how I got put in the squad in a minute. But so anyway, I turned up. I'm 15 and the youngest player ever to play for the reserves, and I've gone there and they've started me in the game. So they've got all these players. I think, like, you know, I'd say like 8 of the starting 11 was all like proper first team players, and I'm this 15-year-old kid who started me. And how that come about was because I was playing so above myself. You had like, say, 17 and 18-year-olds, like the top players playing in the reserves. But obviously I played a lot with them. So he started putting these reserve players, like the 17, 18-year-olds in the reserves. And I'm like just turned 15. So I remember going to the coach, Dave Shannon, who's a bit of a legend there. He's like this under 17, 18 coach. And I've knocked on his door, dead serious. I've gone, listen, you know, why are they in the reserve and I'm not? And he's gone, man, you're messing. You're only paying 15. I went, I don't care. I'm better than them. I want to be in that reserves. So he sort of went, man, you've got years and years to do that. In other words, go away. So I was like dead set out that, like, I seen it as like an insult that they're in it and I'm not. So I think about 2 weeks later, he's put the sheet out for the reserves. I'm in the squads. So I think he's obviously gone to the office with Steve Howe and went, listen, Manos telling me he wants to be in the squad here. And he's probably gone, do you know what, let's just put him in it. Let's do it.
Stick him in, yeah.
I went in there and I actually started. I thought they'd give me 10 minutes, but I played 80. I remember it now. I played 8 minutes.
Wow.
So I played nearly a full game. And I was, obviously, but going on from there, obviously a year later, 18 months later, my injuries come. I had a knee injury. I went away with England, had a bad knee. We got to the semi-final of the European Cup and Switzerland beat us. Senderos, who played for Arsenal, the centre-half, he was the captain of Switzerland and they won it. It was in Denmark. So I come back from there. I had a bit of a stiff knee, if you like. And I remember playing a pre-game against Ipswich, only for my own age, because I'd missed a couple of weeks for being away and blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I went in for this tackle with the goalkeeper and the right back as well, like 3 of us in the tackle. And I'd done my knee. And next minute, I never kicked the ball for 2 years. So I had 6 operations. I got told by a couple of surgeons in England that, you know, nobody in England can fix the knee. You won't play football again. And then Liverpool sent me over to Colorado in America to see this Dr. Stedman, who was like world renowned. So I went in there. I went over and, you know, my mum, I think before I was 18, so my mum had to come with me. And Dr. Stedman come in and, you know, you don't forget, if you picture it now, you're going into this like a mini hospital, if you like.
Yeah.
And it's on the cliffs, on the snow. It's like you've never seen anything like it. Do you know what I mean? You walk in thinking, oh my God, this is like the proper place.
Yeah.
I went into his office and he had all pictures and all like, you know, like signed shirts of people like, you know, thanks for the miracle, what you've done to me. And You know what I mean? And I'd already had 4 operations by then. So I was getting told I'd never play football. You know, my confidence was rock bottom.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I thought he was going to say, because I'd read all these pictures and everything in this massive office, I thought he was going to say, listen, you know, you'll be back in a couple of months, I'll fix it. But he come in, he went, I've never seen I think it was 17 or 18. I've never seen a kid's knee as bad as yours at your age. He said, so I'm going to give you a 1-year rehab after it. He said, and if you do everything to the max, what you have to do, there's still a 40% chance that you won't play football again. So it was hard, you know what I mean?
Oh, 100%.
Sitting there with me, half crying, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
What am I going to do? Like, you know, I've been told by loads of seasons I couldn't play football again. You know, and obviously I was flying in my football, so it's the only thing I really had, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there, and you know, I had the micro fracture on my knee, and I had the injury was called the condyle defect. So I done the year's rehab, but I probably admit the year's rehab what I've done is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. Sticking to that routine. I had like a machine, and my knee had to like literally stay on the machine for 12 hours a day.
Wow.
So I'd wake up in the morning, you know, and you're sitting in the same place for like 12 hours. I wasn't allowed to put my foot on the floor, and this machine was like a big, massive machine, if you like, just literally moved my leg to like a right angle and moved it back down. And I had to do it for 8 weeks. And if I'm being honest, you know, mentally at that age when all my mates are like, they're playing games in the first team, then lads who were below me, they're getting like Carling Cup games and everything else, and I'm on this machine 8 hours a day, knowing in my head that like if I do all this, I might still never play football again. And I'd say mentally it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. So I come back from that anyway. I done 3 years. You know, the final year, 18 months was the really hard, intense, you know, rehab, if you like. So then I come back and I come back after 2 years, and he was saying to me, you know, you might have to go back to the academy to get your fitness. I was at Melwood at the time. Go and get your fitness at the academy, and then obviously come back and see how you do. If I'm being honest, it probably ripped me off a little bit. Do you know what I mean? So I come back after this thing. You started saying at Melwood, you've got to just see how it was going. But I was like, I was a brand new player. And I remember Gerard Houllier took me up to the first team and the reserves at like 15, 16. This was like I was 18, 19 even. And Rafa Benitez said to me, he said, you know, I've heard loads about you. You're like a brand new signing. You're not going back to the academy. You know, you're doing great. And I got a new contract within like 6-8 months. I got a new contract, a new 3-year deal.
Wow.
And my squad number back, number 38, with the first team. So I was made up, do you know what I mean? I was like running on adrenaline. I was back. And I was playing. I went on and played like, I think 100 and odd games in the reserves then. And I was training with the first team and I was playing. So that was when, obviously, I'll go into it in a minute, but that's obviously when I went to Istanbul and, you know, traveling with the first team. And little things like Des mentioned the other day, you go into the match and you're reading the programme and your name's on the back of the programme.
That must be special, that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. You're getting little write-ups. And even though my name was right at the bottom because it's like the youngest player, and you know, it was good for me, and I've still got all the programmes in my mum's house. So, you know, that was brilliant. Everything was great again. I even got back in the England squad, and I remember going there, and there's a player called Wayne Routledge who played for like Fulham, played in the Premier League career. And Wayne went to me, "Oh my God, where have you been? Where have you been hiding?" Because I'd missed like 3 years, and I got back in the England under 20s. We played at Huddersfield's ground against Holland, and we won 1-0. So I was like back, like this brand new player again. So I had my contract, I had everything going, you know. I had my agents and everything else, and then 15 months later, I broke my leg, and it was literally people go on about my knee and everything else, and my knee would obviously catch up with me in the end, obviously, but that broken leg, it was a bad break. I was out for 15 months with it. you're talking 4.5 years. I wasn't even
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? And then that was really like, that was the time where I tried so hard. I got myself back to that. I'd lived in that dream again. And just to get it taken off you like that
Yeah.
was literally like, it was hard to take, do you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
But obviously, before that, I was missing out a little bit. But before that, obviously, I went to Istanbul, travelled with the first team. You know, Rafa Benitez took a couple of the young lads within the squad, put me in it. And you know what? As I went over with Des, it's probably arguably the best final you're ever going to see in your life. So just to be involved and be around it, and you know, have a meal and before the match, be on the podium, do the lap of honour, being in the changes after it, being in the party, you know, being all over the pitches. Some of the pitches you can literally see me more than Gerrard on them.
Which is great. Des was talking about that today.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest sporting events, probably that's ever going to be spoken about, isn't it? So I want to talk about quickly because we've got about like 4 or 5 minutes left of like, but it's like too exciting, so we might just extend it a little bit to 10 minutes and then throw the last bits in. So you had your Liverpool career sort of thing, and then what you do? How did you come out of you know? So you weren't playing, you broke your leg, and then you transition into coaching.
So I went on and I'll do it quickly, but I went on and played football after that. So I literally come back with my broken leg. Went on loan to Accrington in League Two. Steven Gerrard saw his mate to John Coleman. He said to me, "Go to Accrington, get a couple of games." So I literally went there in League Two, played my first match, got man of the match, got in like the newspaper the next day, League Two Team of the Week.
Yeah.
And I remember after the game saying to the physio, not me bad knee, me other knee, I went, it's a little bit stiff. And the next morning I woke up, phoned Liverpool, and I went, listen, I can't move this knee. I went, come in. Went in. I'd only done my cartilage on my other knee. And I had to have another operation. And I was out for 3 months with it. And it literally like one after another. You couldn't even like write it, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, anyway, went to a team from Norway come in, wanted to buy me and offered me a 3-year contract. So I went over there for 2 years. Loved it over there, you know, great country, different style of football, got promotion to the Premier League over there. And then when I come back, I signed for Accrington, Stanley, and I went on to Chester City in League Two. I was about 25, 26 then. I had to retire with my knee. My knee was like, I couldn't train, I was playing matches, and I had to retire. When I retired, I went into a little bit of semi-pro football, which I love, by the way. When I say I loved it, I'd let go of the dream.
Yeah.
The big thing. And people talk about my career, and literally my career is literally like 2 halves. It's the one you live in the dream and whatever, the potential's massive, and you know, agents are giving your mum cars and giving your mum 20 grand checks and everything else. And then you've got the other half where you let go of the dream, and I just enjoy playing a little bit of. I was a good player at that level, but I was never as good as I was, and I just enjoyed it. We went on a little bit of an FA Cup run with Warrington Town. I made a little bit of history, and it was all over the BBC. That was all great. On the side of all that, I'd done my coaching badges with the FA. So I went and done like my level 2, my UEFA B, my UEFA A, done all my youth modules. And I was made up, I'd done it because, you know, it's the next best thing to playing football, isn't it? Being involved.
Yeah. So do you coach little ones now, or what age groups do you coach?
Yeah, so I've got my own academy, Platinum Football Academy. We have as young as like 4 or 5 year olds, right up to like 14 at the minute, 14, 15-year-olds. We did have an international academy, which was like an under-23 team, and you know, we had players from all around the world. You know, Phil Milot was the nutritionist. We had Clive Cook, who was the sports psychologist, you know, because I'd learned all that being in that, you know what I mean? We had players from all around the world, Australia, America, Albania, Portugal, everywhere. It was brilliant. So I've done that for 5 years. Absolutely loved it. Done a little bit of coaching at Liverpool as well. Obviously, like I said, done my badges. And then over the last couple of years, I've been doing my own coaching, but just really been focusing on my 2 boys because they're both at Blackpool now, and you know, they're in the Liverpool school boys, and you know, I just don't want to miss any of their football. Do you know what I mean? And you know, but it's come to a point now where I went in for a job at Wigan Athletic, and he took me down for the interview, done a practical session, done really well, to be fair, though the kids were made up with the session, and they give me the job, so I'll be starting there as well as obviously my own academy stuff in July, and I'll also be managing the Liverpool schoolboy under 14s, which my older boy Shay plays for. So it's really like coming out of the, if you like, coming through that football with all the knowledge. You know, I've probably been at every single level of football. Do you know what I mean? I've been told I've never played football again, but told I was the best player in England. You know, so really now it's taking all that knowledge and all that, like, you know, life experience within football, and, you know, giving it to the kids who can help and push them on my own two boys, and, you know, that's what I feel like my job is now.
Mano, would you like to manage one day, or are you just happy with the coaching?
Oh, I most definitely would, Des, yeah. I never mentioned, but in the lower leagues, Glossop North End, they've got like the likes of Marine in our league and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was just there last year, and you get it. I learned a lot last year, even though it's at a lower level. I learned a lot of, like, there's a big difference between a manager and a coach.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very good at, I feel like my best thing's my coaching at the moment. But as I grow a little bit more, and I think I will most definitely go into the management side, yeah. That's what me.
I think definitely, and I think management's different. Sorry, Des. Management's slightly different now, isn't it? Because management now is about, you've got to talk about formations and like that, but it's also about the player, and, you know, how to speak to, say, different, you know, abilities and man management and stuff.
Yeah.
And you look at the journey that you've been on, you know, from virtually absolutely everything that could have. So you become relatable. So when somebody's talking to you, I think sometimes when you've been there, or you've felt it, or you've lived it, people will be a little bit more like, oh, he's not just blagging me, or he's not just giving me this talk, because you can give like those experiences from your heart and say, no, this is what happened. And I think that it makes you more credible, doesn't it, as a manager, I would say.
Yeah, you're right, Seven. Yeah, because you get respect right away as well, don't you? You know, once you've walked the walk, like, you know.
Well, I was out here when I said that my little boy Shay played against Everton a few weeks ago, and my first manager at Liverpool, when I said he's at Everton now, Robbie Johnson, the one who said he'd seen something in me, but it was rubbish in my trials at the time. Only 4 weeks ago, we played Liverpool schoolboys, played against Everton, and Robbie said to me, like, man, he went, how come you're here? I said, oh, my little boy's playing for this. And he went, Shay. I went, what's his name? He said, Shay. He said, Shay, come over here. Right, so all this Liverpool schoolboy players are next to him, and that's the team I'm going to be managing next year, don't forget. So Robbie Johnson went, oh, what position are you? He went, oh, I'm a number 9 striker, blah, blah. And he went, you know, your dad? He went, yeah. He went, at your age, he was better than Steven Gerrard. So our Shay started laughing, and Robbie went, nah, I wouldn't be laughing, mate. He was like that, because our Shay like has a laugh at me, saying like, oh, I'm well better than you. Don't we have a laugh in that? And all the schoolboy mates are there, and he goes back in. Our Shay takes everything in the start, but I know for a fact, for a coach at Everton to say that about your dad, he must have felt that.
Oh, you'd be walking tall, wouldn't you? Be walking massive, wouldn't you? Be like, oh, you know, of course you would. And again, it's like, you know, his little mates are looking around and thinking, oh, you know, we're with somebody who's a successful player and stuff like that.
Well, Everton phoned the schoolboy manager the next day. They know about Shay anyway. He's contacted at Blackpool, but they phoned him asking about him, like, saying he's the best player on the pitch. So it might have done a little bit, give him a 10% extra, mightn't it?
Yeah, amazing. How do you feel watching, you know, sort of like watching your boys now, going through the sort of journey that you went through?
Do you know what? It's probably the best thing ever. It's literally like every kick what they make. I do it in my head.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I don't have to say much to them now, because they've got their own style of play, and I've been their coach all the way through since they were like 2 or 1 or whatever. Yeah. So now, I only sometimes I'll whistle them a little whistle on the pitch, and I'll just give them a little look to say, "Don't do that again. Get on it." Do you know what I mean? But I let them work it out themselves a lot, and you know they're both flying, made up with them.
Brilliant, made up for them. Amazing. I think we could talk, as Des said, like for 43 hours, I think, couldn't we? Like, and still not cover it all. And I definitely think you should write a book, Mano. Definitely 100%. I think lots of people will buy it. I think we need to find a writer. Yeah, Des, you can write the book on his behalf.
Yeah.
You know?
I can't have to do it.
We do it together, Mano. Yeah.
Do it together, yeah. You can talk it and Des will write it, yeah. So we do have like a little bit of a format, so I'm gonna quickly move on. But an amazing story, and wish you and the boys the most success, and I think you 100% have earned a bit of luck, and to go forward now. So shout out to the grown-ups. Any grown-ups who've been amazing? So there's any grown-ups?
Well, I was thinking about this one, and my grown-up this week is going to be Jurgen Klopp. Liverpool had a brilliant season this season. It obviously ends on Saturday in the Champions League final, but he's just galvanised the club since he's been here for the last 5 years, and everything that's happened is down to him, to be honest. So I'm putting him up there with Shankly and Paisley now. I think that much of him, I'm talking about man management. I think he's brilliant, So the grown up for me this week is Jurgen Klopp, and best of luck on Saturday.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Mano? Any grown ups?
Do you know what? Right, for the first time on the show, I'm probably struggling to talk a little bit here. Let me have a little think. You might have to come back to me on that one, Helen. Give me a couple.
All right. Okay. So I'm going to give a shout out to Dan Flesher from Fazakerley Primary, who got us in, but was amazing and just looked after us really well, and sorted everything out. And it's nice when you see a teacher who's invested massively in the kids. They just loved them, and we put two of the teachers on a game where they have to throw the ball at the target, and the kids, there was like 60 kids going crazy. They must have been able to wear us forever. And it's lovely when the kids are like that, sort of invested in their teachers, isn't it? It was just like a really good relationship.
Ellen, you're really right about that, and it's easy to see there's a genuineness about it, isn't it?
You can't blag kids, can you? You can't blag kids. You know what I mean? You can see their reaction, and it was a genuine warmth towards him, and a genuine warmth from him towards his kids, and it's great. And when you see coaches and people in sports and everything like that, when they're invested in kids and kids give them that back, it's just it's amazing to see. It's amazing to see.
Yeah, I've probably got two there actually. Just off the top, like obviously I said I got my own academy with Platinum. And we sort of like right hand man, if you like, my other coach who is sort of like there through the snow and everything with me, Sal. Sal's like one of these sort of coaches who's got loads of energy. If you meet him, you'll remember him forever. You know what I mean? Everyone's got a great word to say about him. And every time you speak to him, it's always like he doesn't want praise for himself. It's always like mano. Do you understand what I mean? He's like one of them. He's everyone's best mate. He's got loads of body and all that. So yeah, big shout out to Sal, and also the Platinum secretary Alison, who's going through a little bit of a hard time at the moment. Her mum's in hospital, so and the job what she does for the kids, and keeping things on the straight and narrow with everything else. She's great. So Sal and Alison, yeah.
There you go. Big shout out to them. I'm going to give a shout out to Fran McNichol as well. So Fran McNichol was one of our guests. So she's a surgeon. She's an author. She's written a book. She's actually trekking across Mongolia on a horse. And she's done something. They've done absolutely. I think she's 70 kilometers away from somewhere. I'd read it, but we're sharing a journey on Success in the City, so you can follow her journey. But amazing.
She's about 3 months, isn't she, Helen?
Yeah. What a thing to do. Yeah, she's amazing. So Mano, have you got a positive challenge that we can set for people? So just a little, sometimes we've had some which is smile at a stranger, we've had bake a cake for the neighbour, anything like that. A little positive challenge that people can go away with and work on this week.
Well, I've got one right, and that's off the top of my head now. And I know people go, social media is really good, isn't it, for a lot of things. Instagram, Facebook, you see everything's really good. And, you know, what I would sort of say is, could people have, you know, maybe 1 week off social media and look to, you know, replace it with something positive. If that means getting a bit more exercise in, if that means, you know, getting your dog out a little bit more, or, you know, or even like, you might go as far as learning the language or whatever it may be. You know, can people come away from social media for the week?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a great shout. Have a little social media detox. Yeah. So I want to say a massive thank you for giving your time. And your stories like inspirational to a lot of people. Of like, and your resilience is like second to none. I want to say a massive thank you to Des for stepping in. For Scotty this week, I think we're gonna have Dave back when Scotty's in here, because that'll be hilarious. So I want to say a massive thank you to you both. But man, do you have a positive quote or a little mantra that you sort of like live by every day to close the show with? See, I've badly put him on the spot again.
I haven't actually, and I'm going to go back to the one where I heard at Man United, and it doesn't have to be just in football, but you never know who's watching.
That's nice. Yeah,
I think that's a great one. It's a great one. So massive thank you to everyone. Scotty will be back next week. Thank you to Des. Thank you to Mano. And we'll see you all next week.
Thanks very much, Alan.
Thanks, Mano. See you, mate.
See you later.